And let me make sure, and then we're going to let people in. Hi, everybody out on social. You're watching a little behind the scenes. Go ahead, Kimberly. I'll let you start letting everybody in.
Oh, sorry.
No, I got it. Oh, and let me change the ding dong here. Don't need that. All right, good. Welcome, everybody. Let's see, mute you by default. Let's see. Okay, good. Hey, well, welcome. Happy Wednesday. Hopefully you have seen my previous 3 sessions. Otherwise, if you just skipped ahead to the end, it's like reading the last episode of Harry Potter or one of the last ones when you find out someone dies and you're not supposed to know that yet. And so similarly, today, if you try to employ what I'm going to be talking about and teaching today without doing the other stuff first, you are going to fail. You really are. And I say that in love because I don't want you to fail. And so what have we covered up till today? And by the way, everybody coming in, go ahead and pop yourself out on video when you're able to, because I'd love to be able to engage with you. But today, I've got, again, Kimberly, I've got Lynn with me, and we got Robert and Janet popping in. If you're watching this, Pedro, welcome, and Angelique, welcome. If you are just watching this on social, you're like, what's, I don't know, all I know is this notification came out. Now I'm seeing this guy talking on LinkedIn or whatever. So here's what you want to do. All you have to do is just simply go to upmyinfluence.com/free class, all one word, register there. And then I'm going to give you the Zoom link. Join us in Zoom. It's far more impressive in Zoom because I'm sharing lots of links and resources in real time. And again, helping to make sure that we can help you get to 100% inbound in the year 2023. So if you are in a position where you find yourself struggling, stressed out, that some months are good and then other months are not great, you have inconsistency in sales, you have a lack of predictability. If you're a consultant, if you're a coach, if you are a B2B service provider, listen up. If you are looking to connect with centers of influence, and that's been inconsistent. You're looking for affiliate partners, JV partners, all of those sorts of things. Listen, those people are out there. And so if before you were counting on, I don't know, traditional sales and marketing and sliding into DMs and email and that sort of thing to attract exceptionally qualified conversations, you'll know it's really tough. And the reason why, and we've covered this in weeks past, so you really need to make sure that if you've missed any of those weeks, you go back and you watch that. They're on demand. They're in our Facebook group. All you have to do is in Facebook, just search for the word Up My Influence, all one word, and you'll find the group. Don't bother with the page. Just join the group. That's our networking group. And so when you're there, I'd love to learn, who you are and what you do. But I want you to go back and watch weeks 1 through 3. This is the last week I'm going to be doing this. Every year we try to kick off with some really great pro bono where it's just do good in the world, serve the community. I don't have anything to sell you. You're smart enough that if you like me, you'll come find out how to work with me. I don't make that hard if you just start searching around, but I'm not going to take up any time going into any pitches. We're good. Like Kimberly, we got a lot of folks that we get to work with. We love who we get to work with. You're welcome to join us. And so you can come find me. But here again, I love to do a kind of a do good, noble intent, Lynn, kind of activity at the kickoff of every year, just to instill ideas. And again, the idea, I think the biggest thing that I've seen that's important for me to get involved in the conversation has to do with where does business come from? If you are selling higher ticket and you are doing conventional sales funnel ascension model and you think that you can sell a $7 product to a $20,000 client, guess again, it ain't happening. That's not how $20,000 clients buy their stuff. And anyone who told you that otherwise, I'm sorry, but it's just not accurate. It may sound really good. That product may sell. And listen, if you've tried that stuff and it hasn't worked out in the past, it's okay. You're among friends. We've all tested stuff and then we've seen it doesn't work. And so what does work today? Your network works. Who you know, your relationships, who trusts you, who likes you, who refers to you, who is sending your business, who are your partners, who are your clients, who are your team members. These are all run by people. All of these wonderful tools and marketing tools and ChatGPT and everything that's coming out with AI, these are wonderful innovations, but they don't mean anything if you aren't willing to invest the time into relationships and into people. That is what is going to drive your business like nothing else, is truly building meaningful relationships that will stand the test of time, right? And so I've gone into that in weeks past. All of that said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about assuming you've got a generous heart. That's number one. No cheating. If you're still kind of got that broy marketing brain, and I still haven't been able to convince you to take that and put it on a shelf for a little bit. What I'm about to tell you, it's going to be frustrating for you. It's not going to work because we don't like being broy marketed at, and neither do your potential future customers. Am I right, Lynn? Lynn, before I get into, so number one is generosity. You have to have a generous heart. Number two, we talked about the power of platform because that really leads into authority. So you have to have a generous heart, and you have to leverage and manage your authority. That's number two. Why? Because people are going to be checking you out. And you could have all the introductions in the world, but imagine this. Imagine in the world of online dating, you have the worst dating profile on the planet. And you're just slinging that dating profile to thousands of people. That's unfortunately what a lot of broy gurus will try to say is your best course of action. It's not. Okay, sophisticated buyers, and we're all sophisticated buyers today, are just going to check you out. You have to do the work there, right? And so it's not that, everything needs to be perfect today. It doesn't, but you need to just invest a little bit of time every single week. Authority, just build your authority brick by brick, week after week, and and here's what's going to happen. Life is going to get a lot easier. All right. So again, we talked about generous heart. You can't fake it. People know what you want. Right? If you need that sale, we all know. Number two, got to work on your authority. And number three is platform. Platform is the fastest path, and it's going to really lean into what we're talking about today. Either you are contributing to the conversation for your industry or you're absent. My recommendation would be to go ahead and participate. It's going to position you as a thought leader and subject matter expert within your industry. And because you do that, and then because now getting into today, you are willing to collaborate with others, and I shared examples of this in previous weeks, it just opens up the door on opportunity. So again, stop thinking about every conversation I need to get to transaction as quickly as possible, but instead think about what good can I do in my industry? How can I serve others in my industry? And what's going to happen is your authority is going to continue to rise. Your networking is going to allow you to spiral up in ways that is going to lead to a lot of opportunities. So today, all of that said, I got to reiterate that foundation. So what I'm going to talk about today is, again, assuming you've got those credentials. Hey, Dr. Ross, Ivan, by the way, good to have you in the room. I can see you. And Dr. Ross at world headquarters, based on that background there, World News headquarters. Good to see you guys. So, Lynn, can I ask you, and by the way, Lynn, your website is Petite to Queen. And if you could share that in the chat window, and again, if you've gotten my email, I've sent you links, direct links to Lynn's website. Lynn, before we, end obviously our final fourth, episode in this series, I do want you to share how you do help folks, and please, you do have permission. Please do share how folks can kind of continue their relationship with you, because you've provided a lot of very valuable tips, particularly as we talk about kind of the sales process and the sales conversation. I don't get into a lot of hard sales skills, certainly not in this series, but that's where I would defer to one of my mentors, Lynn. Would you mind, A, kind of introducing yourself, B, if there's any comments that you want to piggyback on, just on all the foundational stuff that I've been talking about?
Yeah, absolutely, Josh. So I'm Lynn Whitbeck, and business owners and entrepreneurs hire me to ignite winning sales because most are chasing down clients and lack client retention, conversion, and profits. So I help you build your sales strategy. And that is the foundation of sales success. And what Josh has been talking about is absolutely key. And this is a strategy that works. So you have to understand in front of that, who's your ideal client and what do they think? What do they want, need, or lack? Why it matters to them so they can what? Then you package it into reaching out and doing the outreach to your network and the messaging that you're providing. And when you do that consistently, people connect with you. You are going to, it builds. It's like an exponential rise. And then you leverage that authority so that you can make that immediate attraction and build rapport rapidly. And that is why this program that Josh has is so valuable, because it enables you to do that. But I am going to say in front, Josh, you have to agree with me. If you don't know what your ideal client avatar is and you don't know what they're thinking, you're not going to be able to make the connection. You need to lay your foundations in place. And part of that, there's two other points. One is the client journey and making sure you understand how you're taking your client through the journey from that initial spark to recurring business. They're giving you lots of referrals. They're a raving fan. And then the worthy intent that Josh talked about, that's about building relationships. If it's not yes now, it could be now in the future. They could be a partner. They could be a promoter. They're another human being. This is a relationship. And I will say that client relationships, at least I've found, they last a lifetime.
Yeah.
And all of them that you establish.
Lynn, would you mind sharing, again, you're being coy, and please share at Petite to Queen. So it's the word petite, the number 2, queen.com. When somebody goes there, I know you have some earlier kind of very accessible resources and classes and content that would be helpful for people that are kind of working on kind of improving their sales systems and conversations.
There's a lot of stuff on our website. And one of the things that Josh talked about platform, I have a TV show called Get More Clients. And you can actually join me live every week. And at the end of the show, ask me anything. So if you've got a problem, just say, I have this objection. I'm not able to answer it very well. What would you suggest? And I'll answer it right then and there. And so, and the Q&A is not live. All right. But the show is live every week. And you can find that on our website. I've got master classes, I have webinars, oh my goodness. Josh has been my wonderful guest twice on my podcast. Lots and lots of content there. And we have a great search engine. So just what are you looking for? And what is it? And then you're going to find something that will help you out.
All right. Lynn, thank you so much. You mentioned your platform, and here's where I would love anybody else that's watching or in the chat or on video. Do you have platform? And if so, what do you have? Lynn, you mentioned your TV show. Now that sounds really impressive, right? So, if let's say you were to use, and I know this is part of your strategy, platform is the ultimate make friends button. Now, I'm exceptionally bullish on podcasts and those podcasts are always recorded in video. So those can be delivered anywhere via video, et cetera. But when I reach out, and I don't even have to reach out because I've been inbound, 100% inbound for 3 years and nearly 3 months now at this point. And it's been that way. And I get to talk with 30 to 50 of my dream ideal clients, partners, et cetera, every single month. It's the beginning of a relationship. I'm investing into those relationships. And then I'm curious where they go. I don't have an agenda. I suspect, and what I can tell you consistently is that I end up directly engaging with about 20 to 25% of them. Those are good numbers because the way that we work is a little bit, it's not high ticket, but it's high-ish ticket. So I don't have to sell 1,000. I really only want to work with the best of the best. And platform is also an amazing tool because it allows you to spend time with someone and they are vetting you just like you're vetting them. Like this is when we think about sales, and Lynn, I really love, because I'm going to talk about this a little bit today, but can you talk about like in a sales conversation, it's not, in most cases, it shouldn't be, I'm the salesperson, so it's my job to convince you why you should buy this dining room set, right? That's not what really seasoned, like really good professionals will do in sales. Can you explain that dynamic? Because this is really important to not only helping, because we're going to be talking about, again, I don't want to say the word lead gen, it's more demand gen, but creating opportunities. But you also, again, want to approach this with the right mindset. And would you mind just sharing just briefly about that?
Yeah, well, when you're in a conversation, you need to be curious. I mean, you need to genuinely understand who they are and what's going on, what's working, what's not working, what they would love to have working. And through those conversations in sales, you should always be listening 80% of the time and use tools like the powerful pause to sort of, just go, and let them potentially then give you more information. You can also say, God, that's fascinating. Tell me more. Or you can say, help me understand. You want to draw them out. And when people feel that you are genuinely curious and you're listening, and it's not those tricks of repeating back what they said. Sometimes if that's a way that you can help memorize what they're saying, you can certainly use that because sometimes it helps. But in today's technology, you don't really need to do that in the same way, but it's really making that human to human connection and then finding out how you can serve them, asking them that question. And so that will normally elicit a response from them that they want to know more about you. And now they've invited you in. They've invited you to tell them about you and what you do. And that is a big piece because you're no longer selling to them. And instead, you're now sharing information. And so if you can visualize the dynamics of the human relationship and how that's pivoted, because you're not selling at them or to them. Instead, you're having a real genuine conversation and you're building that relationship. And you also gives you the tools to find out, are they your dream client? Are they someone you want to be working with? Are they better suited as a promoter or a partner? Or are they just someone who's, it's oil and vinegar. They're wonderful on their own right, but they're not a fit for you and your business, or it's not right now. And I recommend that you have 5 things that your dream client has to say heck yes to, and you need to know what those are. And then through that conversation, you can identify what category they go in.
Yeah. Lynn, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah. And also, we're always looking for right fit. And can I solve this person's problems? Do they have a need? And also, are their values alignment? For me, I talk with a lot of people every week, and I would say maybe about 10% of them, I say, listen, thank you so much. Listen, I'm so excited to get our podcast put out there. Thrilled to do so. And have a wonderful, I'll send you an email and thank you so much. Right. And my team will stay in communication. We'll get that out. Something in that conversation indicated to me that they're not a fit for me. Like either they came across too rough, gruff, I don't like there's values misalignment. I just say, thank you so much. Like it's not ever worth, and I'm going to see a lot of nodding of the heads here, I bet. bad clients aren't worth the money. It's not. Yeah, it's just love them and send them on their way, and let someone else. And this is amazing, right? When we study, I love studying lucky people, nice people, friendly people, people that are open, generally have better luck in life. And I think that that's because they're able to take advantage of opportunities that someone that's when I approach a follow-up conversation, I don't know where we're going to end up going. I'm going to listen, but I bet by the end of that follow-up conversation I have with someone, I'm going to leave their life better. Maybe it's a connection. Maybe it's an opportunity. Most often it's ideas. So I love sharing, well, my expertise is this, and I'm really good at this. Have you thought about this? Oh, Josh, that's a great idea. And so lucky people are open to ideas. They're open to continuing conversations and exploring and saying, we're two business leaders. We like each other. Let's see what we can do for one another. Like when you create an environment where you get to have those sorts of conversations week after week after week after week, good stuff just happens. It will. And, especially, the things that you want to do in life, the things that are important to you from a values perspective, right? Okay. So let's talk about how we're going to use platforms. So Lynn, you shared, you've got a video show. You could do YouTube interviews. You could do collaborations on social media. You could do collaborations on written content if you wanted to. You can do, if you are willing to create content for your industry and you're willing to co-create that content with potential partners, investors, influencers, potential clients, right? That's who you should be reaching out to. So offer to do something where it's more about them. And I'll share this, right? It's amazing. I'll just say this and, let you connect the dots here. It's amazing who you can get to show up to an award show when they're being recognized. Are you willing to shine your spotlight on other people? Are you willing to give them the emotions of significance? Are you willing to say, look, I love being recognized for what I do, but if I'm just out there tooting my own horn and bragging about my own stuff, which unfortunately a lot of people do on social media, it's all about them. We know how that feels. Like I'm cool. Yay, good for you. Awesome. But when we take our platform and we shine the spotlight on others, it's amazing like how much good you can do. And it's just classy. Like it just it gives you more of a kind of almost like a third party validation. So again, I'm going to hammer, start using platform, whatever that is for you, right? Wherever you feel most comfortable. You could, sky's the limit on this. If you have a really great TikTok audience, I don't know, maybe you could produce content together with someone to your extremely valuable TikTok audience. So don't worry so much about the value you are going to get from your audience. That's a secondary benefit. Think in terms of, what would happen if I really, like a la Go-Giver, right? I really pulled out all the stops and think, how to win friends, influence people, right? That sort of, and by the way, if you haven't read either of those books in a long time, go back to them. Read How to Win Friends, Influence People every year. Read The Go-Giver every single year, because this is how business is getting done today. When a lot of bro-y Me Too marketers are just kind of focused on themselves, you just shine the light on other people and you will get, just help other people get what they want and you'll have everything you want. Okay. So now that said, is everybody locked and loaded with their platform? Anybody have any questions about that? If so, and we don't get to your question and, in the conversation here, Ivan, do you have an idea of like what you could do in terms of platform?
A little bit. I guess my biggest challenge in listening to you guys is, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, right? Mm-hmm. I'm trying to wrap my arms around it. One of the things I think that makes it such a challenge for me is I've been successful doing it my way for so long, and now it's not paying off, the way it used to. I mean, it still can, but the the long, steady haul to get to where you want. And now
Mhm.
it seems as though I can't afford to wait like 6 months, 12 months, 18 months to
Yeah.
like I used to.
And it's not your fault. Marketers have ruined it. It's the way it is. There's way too much noise
Thank you,
out
Josh.
there.
I didn't think it was my fault. Like I said, so
It's
thank you so
definitely
much.
not, Ivan. It is definitely not. Yeah. But yeah, it's the market, right? So we have to keep moving we have to stay ahead of crappy marketers, basically, who ruin everything. Now here's the good news. Marketers generally flock to stuff that feels easy. So they're not going to do the more, like if I'm saying, for example, would you be willing to have 2, 3, 4 meaningful conversations with someone before engagement? A lot of your broy marketers would say, no way. That doesn't sound like easy automated riches. So good news for us, because again, consultative, relational, account-based selling, that's what works for big ticket stuff, right? So as long as you're willing to do it, thankfully, we have a little bit of a airlock there between the scammy marketers out there. They're not willing to do it. They keep trying to shortcut the system, and people don't like the shortcuts, and it's not working as well. So what we want to do is now, let's say, Ivan, thank you for bringing that up. Let's say you do have something that it works okay. I'm not saying stop that. Like, keep that thing going. But what we want to do, think of it this way. In Disney language, think of it like creating a fast pass lane for those who are exceptionally qualified. If you have a funnel and webinars and all that, keep that going, right? But we're going to create a fast pass lane for those who are exceptionally qualified if your business would be positively impacted by building relationships with exceptionally qualified individuals, centers of influence, investors, bigger ticket clients, JV partners, affiliate partners. But in order to network there, if they're a 7 and you're a 5, again, you're going to have to serve your way up, right? So now let's assume, Ivan, let's say you did a podcast, or Jana, you're a podcaster, right? Yeah.
Yes, I've been on a number of podcasts and
as a guest,
international radio. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you leverage platform yourself? Do you have a podcast?
No. And I when it's the appropriate time, I'd like to talk to you about how my platform just completely was just cut short cut off with COVID. I was censored. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm going to go get some more credentials. I'm going to beef up my feathers, all of my cap, beef myself up, got all those credentials. And now I've got this platform, but how do I re-energize it is really, I'd like to know that too. So when the time is right, if any.
That's a great question. Again, here's another challenge that's another challenge because sometimes creating content is intimidating. Your first interview, like when you were, and I think many of us have had, maybe you've had an interview where you've been the interviewer or the host. The first one is very awkward. And then you're like, wait a minute, I can ask this person anything and they'll fill up the time. That's like even like in it, you saw an example of like, I actually had to grab a link. So I asked Lynn a question and Lynn had great content. And so by now I've done across all of my podcasts probably close to about 2,000 interviews, 1,500 of which alone on the Thoughtful Entrepreneur. I'm getting more comfortable at it. And so it's really enjoyable, and people will love you when, again, you have a conversation and it's not about, here's how smart I am. Your audience already likes you. That's why they're listening, but they want to hear you engage in conversation with others sometimes, not always, but if you're willing to do it, now you're creating a lot of benefits. Because again, when you have podcast, YouTube, video, whatever it is, right? That's what you want to lead with. And again, you want to shine the light on your guest. And then at the end of that, so what you do is every bit of effort, and I'm going to get into the like how to promote and attract people in just a second. So once they come into your world, Then what you want to do is just simply say, that was really, really great. Thank you so much for doing that together. Hey, why don't we chat next week and see if there's something we should be doing together? I hope you wrote that down, because that is the invitation that I have extended 1,500 times. And I know some of you know the answer to this. Well, if you know the answer to this, what do you think? That's my invitation. Like, that's my big, it's not a sales thing. It's just like, that's my invitation to keep the conversation going, to get to the conversation that I've been really excited to have. And that is like, let's figure out if there's something, is there business that we could be doing together? How can we help one another? Right. My success rate with that invitation, if you don't know the answer, go ahead and answer in the chat window. What do you guess? Actually, I have to do some quick math here because I need to get the exact percentage. Let's say out of the first 1,500 invites, how many 1,500 invites, what do you think my close rate is with that? And someone who's good at math is going to have to give me that percentage, because I still don't know how to do the math on it. I don't know why. Okay. In 1,500 invites, I think my success rating is, I'm guessing here, I think it's 99.94%. I could be off. Maybe it's 99.4%. I've had one person in 1,500 invitations say no, thank you. And that's when we were just offering PR services. He's going, well, I already have a PR agency, so I don't know that it would be valuable. And then they ended up sending me business anyway to somebody else. So it ended up being a win. But only one out of 1,500 has ever told me no on that. Everybody else says yes. Why? Why is my conversion rate on so high? Number one, it's not a big ask. It's just, let's just chat and see what we should be doing together. And I approach that follow-up conversation in curiosity. I don't approach it with sales breath. That would be wildly inappropriate. And people will hate you if you do that. So don't do that, right? Just show up in a way. Now, here's what's going to happen. Ultimately, you will probably, even on big ticket stuff, 20 to 25% conversion rate on your primary offer is pretty on par. Think about like what you offer. If you offer some big ticket stuff and you can convert at 20%, which means 80%, it's not a fit for them. And you got to be cool with that, because it's like amateurs, the old saying, remember this, Lynn, amateurs, amateurs convince and leaders sort. I think there's a much nicer way of saying that, right? We're really just looking for what's the greatest good I can do in any relationship. And some people want to show up and they're ready to go. Some people kind of tiptoe toward it and then back out. That's okay. That has more to do with just where they're at right now. So we work with the willing. But then what you'll find is that 20% roughly will directly engage on your primary offer. 50% will engage in other ways. And then 30%, hey, awesome, we're friends. And there's really nothing to do, right? And so you just left them, everybody is happy with the outcome, right? And on the average, you're very happy. And here's the thing, in sales, when you can look at your sales schedule or your conversation schedule, you're like, I have 22 calls booked over the next several weeks. You don't get so worked up when somebody says, it doesn't really look like this would be a fit for me, but thank you. Like, it doesn't faze you, because you're like, oh my gosh, no, that's awesome. No, however I can help would be great, right? Because you generally settle into kind of figuring it out. Anyway, okay, so that said, where can you get guests for everything? Okay, here we go. I'm going to go through a laundry list. If you are in our Facebook group, I'm going to give you the written version of this afterwards. And Kimberly's in the room with me, and she knows exactly where this list is. This is in our private members area. So I'm just sharing with you the stuff that our bigger ticket clients are engaging with us. I'm teaching you exactly what I teach them. All right. So here are the top 20 things that you could be doing to attract your dream customers. And if you were to do about 50% of these consistently, and again, your offer is not a sales call. Your offer is not transactional. Your offer is not, here's a white paper. Like it is, I am going to do something incredibly generous and I'm going to invest into this relationship. And again, leverage platform. You leverage platform, it also gets you time together, right? And time together moves the relationship familiarity, know, like, trust, et cetera, right? Which is very, very important. You have to spend time together. Time together equals relationship. All right, especially when it's quality time in addition to quantity time. Okay, so number one, actually, I think I can just share my screen here a little bit here, and then we can all see, as long as you guys don't read ahead too much. Okay, so this is directly from our members area. And by the way, if you try to type this in directly, it'll prompt you to enroll. So even though I'm showing you our top secret members area. Okay, 20 action items to ensure unlimited guests and customers for life. If you do 2/3 of these consistently, you would very shortly have a full schedule of your dream guests and customers. Again, you're going to spend a little bit of time with these folks. Okay, so number one is on your social media. If you were to say, and by the way, you can go and check me out. I probably do about 2/3 of these very consistently. Some of them I don't need to do anymore because I would just have a big enough authority now. So, I gotta share this. All right. Okay. What I'm about to share with you is this is short-term activity. You're probably only going to need to do this for about 8 to 10 to 12 months. And then what's going to happen is you're going to build up a reputation. You're going to build up your authority. Lynn, when enough people in the world discover that you have a TV show and you're open to doing collaborations, they're just going to come directly to you. So what you want is we're going from lead generation, which you got to get out of that hamster wheel. And you got to get it over into demand generation where your reputation, your authority, and your influence does all of the attraction for you. Right? It's just a much easier life. And it's kind of helps you with the consistency and predictability. Okay. All of that said, here's short-term what to do to get to 100% inbound. Okay, where was I? Here we go. Number one, on your social media profiles, create a pinned post, right? Max out every social media profile. And I talked about this last week on LinkedIn. If your LinkedIn is incomplete or hasn't been updated in a while, or just it's not, go search me on LinkedIn and just do what I do. I'm not saying it's a perfect LinkedIn. It works for me, but just go search Josh Elledge on LinkedIn and look at how we've maxed out my LinkedIn profile. That stuff works because, again, as part of the buying journey, people are going to be checking you out anyway. But what I want you to do is I want you somewhere matter of fact, let's just go ahead and pull mine up in real time. I'm not saying this is the gold standard, but what you're going to find is that in most places, this is going to get meta again because it's going to show my live here. But it actually may not be good if I'm sharing my screen. I don't know. But booking podcast guests. And then in my activity from time to time, I'm going to say now, look at in my about very first line, now booking podcast guests for my daily podcast, The Thoughtful Entrepreneur. Again, use your own platform, your own language, whatever you're doing. I use a lot of emojis, checklists, that sort of stuff. And that tends to get in the kind of engagement that I'm after. All right. So that's LinkedIn. Do the same thing on Facebook. Do the same thing on your Twitter. Matter of fact, I can go to twitter.com/Josh Elledge, seeking podcast guests, right? And then I send them directly there. Now those are the ones I'll show you there. The other ones I don't. I'd have to skip around a little bit, but just make sure that your profiles are maxed out because that is part of the vetting process when people are checking you out. Number two, on your website, promote your show or platform or guest opportunity. What is that high level generosity first engagement that your dream customers would be like, yeah, I totally want to do that. And so again, if you go to upmyinfluence.com, you can see we've got some stuff right there, but you'll see now booking podcast guests. And you're going to see, like, if you click around and you go to our podcast page for the Thoughtful Entrepreneur, booking podcast guests here. Like, I talk about it in all of my episodes, which is, again, that'll be a future one. But in the sidebar, look at it. Would you like to be interviewed on the Thoughtful Entrepreneur? Apply here. And then we have a process where it kind of just takes them through. And again, very guest centric, very focused on them having a great experience. There is no sales involved in that at all, because if I were to do that, people would hate me. And I don't want people to hate me. I want to just give generously and let the chips fall where they may. Is that the right way to say that? Let the chips fall where?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. So just be a good person and you will get to a point. This is really important. Please write this down. When you lead in generosity, I'm going to come up with a nice tweet or a quote here. So someone will make one of those nice image quotes of me and it'll get circulated around. When you lead in generosity, you will soon get to a point where you will not be able to outgive the market. You could take that to the bank. That's not part of the quote. That's just me reinforcing that what I said is absolutely true. It is absolutely correct. Like, especially when you're circulating with legit business leaders. Amateur, maybe not as much, but professionals, I can tell you after interviewing, 1,500, 6, 7, 8-figure business leaders, they are generally super classy. They're generally very super collaboratively minded. High net worth individuals usually are incredibly generous with their time, attention, as long as you show up in a way that matches that class. If you show up and it's all about you, we smell it a mile away. But if you're willing to show up in generosity, it's like how I've had a lot of the, things that I've been able to, just awesome, like, some of the higher profile podcasts and stuff like that. I served my way in. How I got to speak on a lot of stages. Again, I served my way in. All right, continuing on with our list. Hopefully this is helpful. Is this helpful? Give me a thumbs up or comment below if you're watching this on social. Let me know if you're getting some good ideas here, because I promise you this is the fast path. It might feel like, hey, this doesn't sound like easy riches in 30 days. No, it's not. All right. But if you want to get out of that rat race, this is what will put you into new territory. And it's the territory of classy demand gen business leaders. Okay. So make sure you're promoting that opportunity to engage everywhere. Okay, number 3, live networking events where normally you would exchange business cards and, all right, give everyone your elevator pitch. No, stop with don't sell, don't go into a rehearsed elevator pitch. Instead, extend an invitation for those who are, in my case, like if you go listen to me interviewed on a podcast, one of the more recent ones, especially, just search me on like Listen Notes or something like that and see where's Josh been interviewed lately. Go listen to how I do the end of my podcast interviews. That's how you do it if you want the A-listers to show up on your schedule. You offer service and you offer to shine the light on other people. Hey, Josh, how can people get in touch with you? Well, I'll tell you, the first thing that I would love to do is I'm a podcaster and I would love, if there's someone listening to our conversation right now and you've been in business, I would love to celebrate your success. I would love to celebrate your wisdom. I would love to brag about you in front of my audience. To do that, you just go to upmyinfluence.com and you click on podcast and you'll see a link where you can get right into the podcast and I would love to celebrate you. That's my call to action. Now, that works if you're trying to attract very high level folks into your world. It will absolutely work. So every opportunity you have to kind of present yourself or pitch yourself, make it about other people. And watch how people respond. In fact, I tested this. I was at an event where it was going to be like 8 little mini mixers. And I tested this. I said, I'm going to have 8 opportunities here. I think I can get some good data out of this. So what I did is in 1 or 2 of them, I did the conventional, I'm Josh Elledge, and what I do is I turn blah, blah, blah into blah, blah, blah. And I went into like my, quick little authentic, so not terribly rehearsed. I gave it my best shot at promoting the value that I bring the world. And, I got some cool. I mean, pretty much everyone's just waiting their turn so they can talk about themselves. That's what happens in these things. So when you show up and you go, man, I'm among some amazing leaders right now. I'm a podcaster. I'm a YouTuber. I create content on my blog or I write for Medium, or I really have built up a good audience on LinkedIn. I would love to celebrate each of you on my platform. If you'd be willing to be a guest, I would love to promote what you're doing to all of my audience. And I'll put a link in the chat on how you can do that. That's it. And that's all I did. 6 times out of the 8, bam, schedule was filled with people. Because what's everyone's favorite? Here's an old school, Lynn. Here's an old school quiz. I know you know the answer. What's everyone's favorite radio station? Do you know, has anybody, this is like old school kind of like sales kind of like, do you know did anyone know what the answer? What is everyone's favorite? If we're thinking about like sales and marketing, what's everyone's favorite radio station? And again, we're talking radio stations, like, again, also no longer relevant. Sorry, radio people. It's WIIFM, which stands for What's in It for Me. And just consider that every time you're given platform, how can I use this platform to extend invitations, to shine the spotlight on other people? And guess what? Your schedule is going to get filled. I hope this is helpful. I hope you're like, oh man, I got great ideas. Let's continue on because I got to get through a few more. I'm going to have to start picking up my pace, right, Kimberly?
Yes.
Kimberly's my timekeeper. She'll send me pings like, Josh, you are way behind. You need to okay. So number
in a nice
4,
way.
Yeah, I know I'm being silly. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Number 4, review your existing content that you've got out there and posts on your website and social, and include calls for guests to engage with you. Can you add footers? Can you update content where, if that's getting seen, and you start thinking about, well, wait a minute, if I were to update, let's say 30 pieces of content by themselves, only getting a few people looking at them individually. But now we multiply that times 30. Now, this is now an audience of over 100 people potentially. Even if you're just a small time blogger, can you update that? Can you update that content and include, if you're an expert in this subject, I would love to promote you on my show. I would love to do a collab together with you on YouTube. I would love to do a Facebook Live with you. So again, sometimes I defer to podcast language. That's not necessarily the right answer for everyone. It's just the one that I personally use. So just keep in mind of like what you think your best play is for platform and go for it. Try to really earn those, what I would call media credentials. Like try to really focus on, again, how you're going to grow your platform. By the way, growing audience is a lot easier when you have help as well. When you have a new guest every single week or multiple times a week, they're promoting it to all their network. So if your whole thing in life is you want to grow your audience, get a bunch of guests to help you and make them look good, and they'll be happy to do so. Hey, look at this. Number 5. I didn't even see what I was going to say. Ask every guest who they'd recommend you should celebrate on your show. Oh, no, this was number 6 here, that one. But number 5, ask every guest who they'd recommend you should celebrate on your show while either on a live call or afterwards. Here's the thing. Okay. And Lynn, I know you talk about this quite a bit. Every good person. So oftentimes, like, you'll extend an invitation, someone will show up, and they're like, they're good, but they're not really your ideal customer, but man, they're close. Guess what? Guess who they know? They know your ideal customer. So when you first start this, you're going to start to get into neighborhoods. And I just got someone out of that neighborhood there. That's not exactly the person I'm looking for. But you know what? If you say, hey, Janet, this was so great. I wonder if you could help me. Like I'm, kind of ramping up. I'm going to be recording a few more episodes. Here's my dream ideal guest. Now, the way you describe it needs to be 100% focused on the content you create, and who you describe also needs to fit the persona of who you would love to engage with. Does that make sense? You can't say, well, who I really want is you to send me my ideal customer. Don't use that language. Focus on the content first, because you don't know if they're going to be a customer. So it'd be audacious of you to even assume that. But focus on the content. And if you were to draw the Venn diagram of, so for me, what I know about my ideal guest is it's someone who's successful in business. They're very relationship oriented. They're collaborators. They're givers. They have a lot of domain expertise. They also, because of the value they provide the market, they generally have higher ticket offers. And that would be my dream ideal customer. B2B, agency owner, coach, consultant, B2B service provider. So I've just described my ideal guest for the thoughtful entrepreneur. And guess what? That's also my perfect customer right there. And again, values wise, I just very relationship oriented. Because again, I know that that's usually who responds very well when we start talking about ways I could potentially help them. At least if nothing else, they love my ideas. And then they do whatever they do. Okay, let's continue on. All right. And ask friends who are centers of influence to promote your guest link to their audiences. It's a very easy ask. So help me. I'm looking for guests. And then just personally ask them to promote the show opportunity. Okay, how do they look in front of their audience when they say, hey, was just on the so-and-so show, or hey, my friend Lynn has a TV show and she's looking for guests. I'll put in the comments below how you can get connected with Lynn, and just keep it real short, vague, that sort of thing. Try to encourage, only give enough information to generate curiosity so you can continue the conversation in the comments. Hint, hint, hint. That's a major hint right there on how to really work social media. But get some friends to promote the guest link to their audience in the comments, just the opportunity in the post. And if you get 10 friends to promote your guest opportunity, guess what you're going to have coming into your world? A lot of guests. A lot of great new friends, a lot of great new relationships. And then you just explore and see where they go. Now, again, all of this, you're talking about collaborating on content. It's going to, there's an extra few steps that you're willing to do, but that is what's going to allow these people to come into your world. Without it, they're not going to come into your world because there's nothing for them. Like a sales opportunity, discussing their IT service needs. Sorry, that ain't going to cut it. They're not going to show up. They're not going to take time out of their schedule just to have a conversation about how you can save them 10% on their phone bill. Like they're not going to, we got enough of those offers. You have to go through the friend door. You have to go through when everybody else is zigging, you zag, right? When everyone else is banging on the front door, you go around to the side door and and just again, service, how to win friends, influence people, go giver, same stuff. Okay. Participate in conversations on social media where you reply mentioning that you would love to celebrate them on your show. Search for recent conversations around your industry and people that you suspect might be interested in, or let's say you serve a particular industry. Don't hang out with other podcasters and YouTubers. Go, unless that's who you sell to. Go to where your customers are and go where there aren't a bunch of other content producers. That's where you show up. And then search in the conversations and comment publicly and say, really great article, insightful, I love your response. Total, great take. Hey, would you be willing to talk about this on a podcast? Think of ways, again, don't sound scripted. I just realized those examples I'd probably work on the language a little bit, but that's what you want to do. And then just wow, would you be willing to talk about that on a podcast? I'd love to interview you about that, right? And most people, they'll definitely at least entertain it. And now you're getting the time together, whereas before you're not. Okay. Ask for guests in groups that include your target customers. Again, be very careful on how you do this. Only post just basically say something like, hey, I have a podcast for dentists looking for great guests, period. That's it. And then that'll evoke curiosity. People will comment asking for more information. And that's part of the strategy, is you want to then engage with them there. All right, I'm going to go through the rest of these really quick here. In your own podcast guest appearances at the end of the show, share how you're looking for guests. I already explained that. Invite guests while on stages and speaking opportunities. The exact same thing that I already explained, about how to extend invitations to audiences. Post publicly and regularly to your own social media followers that they should nominate guests for you to celebrate on your show. Hey, who do you know is a great agent? I say, hey, who are some of the greatest agency owners you know? I would love to celebrate them on my podcast. Tag them below. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to get a lot of people nominating people, tagging them. Why? Because they look good for doing that. Everybody's favorite radio station? What's in it for me? WIIFM. All right, even though we don't listen to radio anymore. Okay. But number 12, yeah, okay, we already did that. 13, to your group email list, or maybe a lost leads list, or maybe you just include it in your signature. P.S. Looking for guests for my podcast or my YouTube channel or my blog or LinkedIn lives or whatever. Who should I celebrate? And then link to your guest page. That's going to get you introductions. Ask your existing customers who would make a great guest to highlight. Ask your former customers if they'd like to be a guest, if you think that they might possibly come back to work with you, or ask who they know. Ask potential customers, the folks who are currently in your sales cycle, right? Potential customer, someone that's already we've talked about potentially, working together or whatever. Deepen that relationship. Invest into that relationship. Do them a solid. What you'll find, lost leads list, we all have lost leads lists. Those are people that, man, it looked like they were going to engage and then they got busy. That's the agency world. That happens all the time. Go reinvest in those relationships. Go do them a solid. All right, last few here. I hope this has been fun. Ask formerly lost leads to reinvest in those relationships. We just talked about that. Ask within masterminds and other small groups you might be a part of. Include a PS in any auto email sequences, follow-ups you might be using, scheduling reminders, drip sequences. Even if they don't qualify, that's what the schedule page will do. So you don't want to interview everybody. You want to interview the right people. So you can set qualifications there. And then finally, number 20, auto survey every podcast guest afterwards and ask them for a podcast review and intros to other guests that you can celebrate. Listen, my friends, you do 2/3 of those things. Do it consistently for 4 to 6 months. Come let me know if that's not working for you, because I would be shocked. This is the formula. This is exactly what works. There's a lot of other stuff that you can do, and that's kind of based on your individual circumstances. Again, at no time, I want to reiterate this, I'm a consumer advocate. At no time will I ever or intend to give income kind of promises or whatever. So I just want to put that out there. You got to do the work. A lot of individual circumstances are on this, but if you will do the work, I promise that you'll start to network up. You'll start to build relationships with amazing people. And when you do that, those amazing people will connect you to other amazing people. And the most valuable thing, I would argue, for every founder and CEO out there should be networking with centers of influence, networking with other business leaders. The more of that you can do, the more positive outcomes are going to happen in your life organically. So when you see everybody else doing the scarcity amateur stuff, always low key selling on their Facebook, always blah, 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 you'll be able to look at that stuff in a whole new light now. And you'll be able to say, I remember when I used to have to do that because I thought that's where you got where you got business from. And it'll look and sound desperate to you. You'll be able to see it for exactly, everyone already knows what it is. But I want you to build and operate your business with class. I want you to just be magnificent and be that beacon so that other people can come and be a part of what you're doing. You're leading in generosity. So you're modeling more generosity in your industry, in the marketplace, in your world. You will attract more collaborative, generous-minded people in your life. The people that you will, and the scarcity people, the amateurs, they just naturally kind of see their way out. All right. So next steps, we're done. This has been my 4 weeks. And if you're like, wow, well, I want more, grab some time with me. happy to chat. I'm gonna put my schedule link in the window, in the chat window, to anybody watching this. For the time being, if you go to Up My Influence, Kimberly, do you know like where my schedule, like book time with me is? I know where you can find it. Let me share with you really quick here where you can find this. Let's grab 30 minutes. Happy to stimulate some ideas, explore kind of your opportunities. If you click here on weekly introductions for high ticket B2B sales, take a look at that, by the way, because this will share a little bit more foundational. This may not be appropriate for your level of business. Just heads up on that. But you're certainly welcome to watch a lot of really great stories of clients, higher ticket clients that we've worked with. And you can kind of see, what we've been able to do with them. Jerry did 60K in his first 90 days. Joanna, oh my gosh, is she amazing? She teaches us all kinds of stuff on associations. David closed a 6-figure deal like right out of the gate. This doesn't always happen, by the way. And again, what I said on the income stuff, blah, blah, major disclaimers, right? Your mileage may vary. This doesn't always happen, but when it does, it makes me look really good. But that's not the norm, just so you know. But every once in a while, oh man, it's great when we get the success stories like that. I was going to share with you on this page. Here's my schedule link right here. So again, just to make sure you understand the flow, you go to upmyinfluence.com, hover over services, and this first link, weekly introductions for high ticket B2B sales. You're welcome to skim through this if you want. You don't have to watch my videos because you've already heard enough of me, but watch my conversations because I think they're really fun. And all these guys are 6, 7, 8-figure business leaders. Hey, look, there's Lynn, one of my favorite conversations. And Lynn, what I love about our conversation is you get a little academic, which I love. Like, Josh, let me tell you exactly what you're doing and why this works so well. So I love Lynn's take on this. But just scroll all the way down to the very bottom and nearly the very bottom, and then let's chat to make sure we're a good fit. It's not a sales call. Like, just tell me what you got going on. I apologize because I didn't have enough time to really personalize a lot of advice on here just because of the format of what we're doing. But grab 30 minutes with me. Happy to help. If all I do is end up, maybe giving you a connection to someone that you need really badly, awesome. Thrilled to do it. If I can give you some great ideas, great. Happy to do that. Certainly, if there's an opportunity for us to collaborate, I can work with you at whatever level you are, if that's appropriate for us. My friends, thank you so much. It is now 5 o'clock Eastern time. Thank you for this 4-week series. If you missed any of it, just go into the Facebook group, free to join. It's a networking group if you're looking to make other connections. And I have the archive of all 4 of our free class videos. If you need to go back and review some of this stuff, because some of this stuff, Josh talks really quick sometimes. And so sometimes you're like, I understood like 1/10 of what he just said right there. You can go back and you can watch me in slow motion. And, again, hopefully that'll be helpful for you. So anyway, hey, listen, everybody, thank you so much, Ivan, Janet, Lynn, Kimberly, Angelique, everybody for joining in. Robert, thank you so much for joining in. Pedro and other folks in joining in on Zoom. Thank you so much for everybody that's been watching this on live stream. Comment below, hit me up. If you know of a great podcast guest, send them my way. I already showed you how all that works, and I would love to celebrate them as well. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful rest of the week. I appreciate you. Take care. And thank you so much.